where I'm going to talk about something that traditionally I don't think is often, when I learned ACT anyway, it wasn't at the forefront of the values process, but to me it has become one of the very important things. And this is sifting and sorting values. Sifting and sorting, two things that I'm going to talk about to be mindful of when it comes to trying to do values work. So sifting is the work of separating the wheat from the weeds. In other words, differentiating values, which we're going to call the wheat, from the rules, wants, and other things that kind of have the influence like values do over behavior, but aren't necessarily values themselves. And this will kind of sit on the analogy that we used from the last talk on the story about the farmer who plants wheat in his field and then someone else plants weeds and they all look the same, so he has to work out how to separate the two. And that's the case with values, rules, and wants. They can all look very, very similar. And how do we actually help clients to differentiate them? Do we need to? That's what we're going to talk about there. And the second one of sorting is the idea of organizing values into a values orientation. So a lot of the time when we think of ACT, we think of values as these constructs, these things. But what I want to just touch on, I just want to introduce this idea of not only the things being the values work, as in not only helping clients identify what they value, but our work should also be to help clients identify their valued orientation. How do I explain this best? Let's use the analogy of making a cake. Every ingredient that you're going to use is going to come together to make this cake. And every ingredient in and of itself is not sufficient to make the cake. It's the combination of the ingredients. But not just any combination, it's the combination in a certain orientation, a certain order and a certain proportion that will create the right batter to make the cake. In the same way, working with values with clients is not just about working out what the values are, but it's about helping that person to identify that in this particular situation, what proportion of what values are going to be important to me. In other words, it's getting clients not just to know their values and leave the session and go forward. It's about getting clients to become better at noticing what they value in a particular situation as it arises or at the time, if that makes sense.